Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tartar Zone's Friday night contact. That I am here with Lee. Chris will be joining us later. But what we are talking about tonight, President Zelensky has been snubbed by the Oscars. Apparently, he wanted to do a speech. We'll be talking about is a double standard by the Oscars as they allow their actresses and actors to make political speeches all the time. So you guys in the chat, let us know what you think. Also, Jenna Ortega apparently is going to be cast as Lydia Dietz's daughter in Beetlejuice 2. Uh, Also, a band aid style concert for Ukraine with U2, Pink, and the Rolling Stones set to perform. We will be talking about that as well. Another Resident Evil reboot is in the works, apparently. Don't know why, but we're getting another one. Gene Hackman was recently photographed, looking great, I have to say, at age 93. But I want to talk about the paparazzi because Bruce Willis's family made a statement and said if you could leave Bruce alone because he can get very confused. As you know, Bruce has retired from acting. And, I think it's absolutely disgraceful the way the paparazzi go on. Anyway, also, we'll be talking a little bit about Seth Rogen's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which has caused a little bit of controversy as well. Red Dwarf, for any of you Red Dwarf fans out there, it looks like there might be more Red Dwarf in the pipeline after the rights issue was settled. So that's something for Red Dwarf fans to look forward to. Also, what else was there? There was other stuff there that I wanted to talk about. There was there was the whole what you call it, Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King. Apparently, I think it was the Return of the King. Yeah, is getting a re-release. I don't know. Well, we do know why because they're talking about bringing out Lord of the Rings again. Oh yeah, apparently James Gunn has had conversations with Henry Cavill about other roles, and Danny Donald Glover claims that Chevy Chase called him the N word, um, which we will talk about as well. But the first thing I want to talk about, which is not scrolling across the screen with Lee, is the whole developing story that's happening on the BBC right now, uh,
Mhm.
which is Gary Lineker. Gary Lineker, who presents a football show or soccer show for anybody that lives in the US, has a Twitter account, and it's his private Twitter account. That would be fair to say. Um, but he works for the BBC, and BBC have a set of rules in place, which Lee and myself spoke about when Tim Davie came in. He sent all the staff an email and said there'd be no more political stuff to be said. But in Gary's defense, right, I'm just going to say this: BBC had no problem allowing Gary and mandating Gary to speak about Qatar when they were in the Qatar World Cup about the human rights violations and all of that other stuff. So again, to me, it seems like double standards, the BBC. But the question I want to ask you, Lee, is this: if he's not making any political speeches on Match of the Day, and he's making them on his Twitter private Twitter account, and he has slammed the government over their migrant policies. He likened them to the bad German policies of the 1930s and 40s. Lee,
Mm.
where do you stand on this? How, because this has developed very fast, because Ian Roy and other pundits that work on the show have also said they will not appear on Match of the Day tomorrow, which is the football show. They show it every Saturday and Sunday night, folks. So BBC is actually in a bit of a pickle because a lot of pundits have come out and said they support Gary, and they're not going to appear on Match of the Day. What's your opinion on it?
Well, I think it's very simple. You have a contract with the BBC. The BBC, as we know, has an impartiality clause, which is a bit of a joke considering how incredibly partial the BBC has been on so many issues in the past. Well, look, there is a big difference between cancellation of somebody, which is destroying their career utterly and never getting them to work again anywhere because they don't hold the same political views as you. This is different because this is someone who has a contract with the BBC. It's very clear on impartiality rules. It might be on his personal Twitter, but I mean, it's still he's still an employee for the BBC. I think all actors or presenters or whatever should be held to a different standard from your average Joe because they are working for the BBC, which is a tax-funded organization paid for by the British public. His comments were rather inflammatory. He's entitled to have those opinions, absolutely. I think that they are grossly misjudged. I'm getting to the point now where I'm so sick and tired of people on the left using the Holocaust as a pretext for every modern day thing that they don't like. It's trotted out so often. Everyone's a Yahtzee, everyone's a this, that, and the other, Holocaust this, genocide that. And it's just completely inappropriate. I have to say, the situation in which they're discussing, which is obviously the migrant issue, when you've got thousands and thousands of people coming into this country undocumented, and people in this country are suffering problems with finances, school positions, paying for the heating, supermarkets, shelves emptying, all these other things, people, homelessness problems, all these kind of things. You have an influx of fighting age men in their 20s, mostly men, mostly not coming from countries that are deemed to be in a war zone. Where's this Holocaust then? Where's this genocide that's going on? Where's the 6 million dead piled up? I mean, to equate these immigrants to the plight of the Jews in Nazi Germany is absolutely revolting, frankly, and I'm tired of it. And good. I'm glad that he's been told to shut the fuck up. Quite honestly, I said it. We're 8 seconds in. It's fine. 8 minutes in, whatever. But I just think that it's right that he has to answer for that. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. Look at what happened to Gina Carano. She got her career absolutely destroyed by Disney and all this kind of stuff for making a statement that was not even the same level as this. And she wasn't glorifying it, and she wasn't using it as a way. But I mean, she was fired completely, and everyone on the left was okay with that. They were celebrating the fact that she was kicked out. When it comes to one of their own, no, we can't have that. So it's one rule for one person, one rule for another. Now, you have to make it absolutely clear from the start what the rules are. And in his contract particularly, he has to have a impartiality. And this is not the first time Lineker's got himself.
I know he's done it quite a lot, but my point would be is that I think it's kind of hypocritical of the BBC, considering that they have allowed him and mandated him to speak about Qatar when they were covering the Qatar World Cup, because everybody was calling, all of these organizations hypocrites for going over there in the first place. So they had to be seen to be saying something. So they used presenters like Gary Lineker. Remember Alex Scott? She wore the armband, the LGBTQ plus armband, because the footballers and FIFA had actually come out and said that if any footballers or international teams had wore the armband, there would be consequences. So she actually put the armband, she wore the armband live on BBC. So they had no problem with that. See, this is my point. Whether Gary is right or wrong in what he said, the fact of the matter is now, according to reports, BBC put out a report to say that he was stepping back, right? But Gary and others, Gary and a couple of other people are reporting that that's not the case. He was told to step down, basically. So I
Probably.
don't know if that.
But look. Apparently, I have obviously a few Jewish followers on my Twitter account. I have familial history in this area from being descendant from Auschwitz survivors. And apparently, according to my Jewish friends on Twitter, that most of the people who were Jewish telling him this is unacceptable, he blocked them. He blocked the Jews saying, excuse me, can you just not appropriate that for your bullshit? It's not the same thing at all. It's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And the fact that he silenced their voices and complaining about his voice being silenced. What about the people who are telling you, don't, please? This is offensive. Now, you can argue taking offense is a choice as well, but come on, when you're appropriating the Holocaust for something that is, where's the 6 million bodies? Where are they? Where's this mass genocide happening, Gary? I mean, why is France not being criticized, for letting them leave France? I mean, look, this is a problem that Europe has to face, okay? It's not because they're running away from war zones, and there are genuine people who are seeking refugee status who do need to be protected and do need help. But these people are going to be screwed over if you're letting everyone come in. If you're letting everyone come in, then the people who really need it are not going to get the help that they need, because you're going to get these migrants who are coming over who are looking for better work, more money, whatever, to take money from this country outside of this country. When we need to fix our economy, it's madness. You have to have certain rules or you don't have a country at all. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Now you've got
Yeah.
these people who live in gated communities. Like Gary Lineker's done this before, and he was challenged, because he said something like,
Didn't he say he's going to take?
I would open my home.
Well, hold on. So did that never come of that? Because I do remember he made such a big deal about that he was going to take someone in.
Yeah, of course he didn't.
There you go. That's
just nonsense.
So Gary, just shut up. Anyway, let's move on, Lee, because I don't want to get too bogged down on that, because obviously, but this kind is a nice little segue, I suppose, into what we have been talking about. So, according to the media, the Oscars, what's going on? Okay.
Well, it's up. It's showing. What?
Okay, it's up, is it? Yeah. So the Oscars have denied Zelensky a chance to speak at the Oscars. Apparently, he wanted to make a speech to the American people. But I want to ask everybody in the chat. Fair enough. Yeah, you're going to ban Zelensky for making a political speech. Fine. Well, then why not apply that same rule to your actors and actresses that continuously at these award ceremonies bang on about something or have some political stance that they're taking and make a big speech about it? So I want to ask you guys in the chat, are the Oscars actually hypocrites here And by doing this now, have they actually left themselves open for criticism because they are being hypocrites? They allow their
Mm.
actors and actresses to blab whenever they want. So, Lee, I want to ask you this to you. Right move? I would say I could just give my opinion on it. I think it is the right move. I don't think leaders from different countries should be going to award ceremonies, especially when their country is supposed to be at war, going and making political speeches to the American people to try and justify the amount of money that's leaving the American economy to help Zelensky beat the Russians. What is your opinion?
Well, yes, I think it is hypocritical because you allow any idiot with a microphone and $1 million bank account and a film career to get up and be suddenly an expert in geopolitics. It's ridiculous. But yes, I don't think that they or anyone should be making political statements. It's a family entertainment show. It's supposed to celebrate Hollywood. It's not there to be a platform. People are vastly tuning out of the Oscars and have been
Yeah,
doing so for years. It's pointless. People are sick and tired of these extremely spoiled, privileged people getting up on stage and spouting their radical left wing politics when they themselves have benefited from capitalism. They've benefited from uh, careers that have afforded them the lap of luxury, dictating how other people should live. It's extremely bad optics. They are extremely lacking in all self awareness. So that in itself should really put a stop to this political pandering and partisan politics. Now, should they have someone like Zelensky on to talk about Ukraine at an awards show? No, I don't think that
no.
is appropriate. Whether or not you agree and side with the Ukrainians or not, uh,
Exactly.
it,
It's not
it's
about
just
whether you
it's
agree
not
or
the right
not, isn't it?
place.
Not. It's basically, you know what I mean. An award ceremony is not the place to be making. I know it's watched by millions of people, and you can understand it to a
Well,
certain
then
extent. But his country is supposed to. His country's at war. He should be. He should be in his country. He could make a. I mean, I don't know why they can't even do a live feed from Ukraine anyway. Why he has to be there physically is beyond me. You know what I mean? And also, as I said, now that they've done this, should they now come out and say that actors and actresses, sorry, you aren't allowed to make any more political speeches? And if someone did and breaks the rules, Lee, if they did bring that in and break the rule, how would you enforce that actually?
take the
Would
Oscar
would
away
you
from
take them
them.
out of would you take them out of consideration for a year or two for Oscars? Would that be a relevant punishment for anybody that? And I
Well,
mean,
I
if you're
mean,
going to
look, I
stop
mean,
political speeches, you've got to stop. You have to stop it on both
this
sides. You know what I
this is
mean?
nothing new, though. This is nothing new. I mean, this has been going on at the
Yeah,
Oscars time immemorial. I mean, we had oh, who was it? Oh
Marlon
God,
Brando.
Marlon Brando. Thank you, Marlon Brando, who didn't turn up for his Oscar and some what was allegedly a native Indian American do a speech about the rights of the tribe. Turned out to be an actress and wasn't actually from that tribe at all. So yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans like that have been going on. Um, I'm not one for saying people should be punished for speaking this and speak, but I think when you're doing an award show, it should be all about
The
the
awards
movies,
or the
the
movie, the
awards,
celebration.
the audience, and people just are just so done with politics being rammed down their throats at every opportunity. Do I think people should be punished for it? Well, look,
I mean, you've got to try them for. I'm not all for punishment myself either, right? But you're gonna have these rebels that think that you know what I mean. Like,
mm,
remember when Ricky Gervais made that brilliant monologue at the Golden Globes, and he said, "Don't come up and make any political speeches and all of that, right? Just thank everybody that you need to thank and thank your God or whatever, and and blah blah blah, and that was it. And then as soon as the first award, the award came up, your woman goes up, the actress goes up. I think it was Heath Ledger's ex missus, and then she goes and makes a whole big political speech
Yeah.
after the monologue. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna get. Look. There's certain causes that are worthy and stuff like that. Award ceremonies, though, in my opinion, are not the place to be doing it. If all these actors and actresses want to talk about all the stuff that they want the public to know about, well, then why not create a website or something, or create a YouTube channel that way, like other actors and actresses out there, and get your message across that way. People tune into award ceremonies to hear about the movie, the process, and all of that, and to have a laugh and to be entertained, not to be
It,
bored crap out of their
it used
heads.
to be it used to be that, you know, if you wanted to support a cause publicly, you'd wear like a ribbon or a badge or whatever, and that was it. It was unspoken. That was enough. Maybe stick to something like that. You can show your things by the colors you wear or whatever, something like that, so people know. Whatever, you know. I just think that if you're gonna railroad Hollywood into this semi-political entity, a bunch of millionaires dictating to the small people about their grand causes and their utopian beliefs and how everyone beneath them is you know, literally the devil, etc. Uh, Stuff like that. It's bad taste. It really is. It's elitism at its worst, and it just looks really awful. It does, and people are just everyday people are just like, look, we don't want you millionaire, successful, beautiful people looking down your noses at us and telling us what to think. Sod off, you know. And if you look at the Zelensky thing, a lot of Americans are very polarized, like everything else, on this issue. You know, there's a lot of propaganda going around. Not everyone's completely sure of the facts. This is,
Yeah,
you know,
that's the problem, isn't it?
the first casualty of war is the truth. Now, I've deliberately kept out of this entire conflict because you can guarantee the minute you say anything about anything of this, you're going to get people from both sides telling you what's the truth and what isn't. I'm done with that. It's not something we really should be engaged in. This is a war between Russia and the Ukraine. We can support whoever you want on whatever side you want. That's fine. But if you're going to start antagonizing by putting this kind of political propaganda, it is propaganda, then you're probably doing more damage to the Ukraine cause actually than helping it, especially if it's
Yeah,
coming from Hollywood. And we all
but the
know
thing,
what we feel about Hollywood. And
but the thing
just one
about
more point is, you
go
know,
on.
this as well could also sort of antagonize the Russians even more so. And who knows where that could lead?
Yeah, exactly.
They're run by a nutter already who's potentially ready to push red buttons. We don't want that.
See, See, here's the thing about issues nowadays. There is a lot of people out there that think they know the facts. And unfortunately there is a lot of misinformation out there. So it is a very polarizing issue. And it is wise from the Oscars to do it, but I think, in a way they need to enforce that with the actors and actresses, because then they kind of look like, I'm gonna say it, they look anti-Ukrainian. What kind of message are they sending out? Like, what is the message they're trying to send out? You know what I
Russia has
mean?
no
Are you
business being
against
in
political speeches full stop now?
Russia has
Is
no business being in the Ukraine. We get that. Ukraine has a right to its sovereignty and to defend itself. But there is also a lot of stuff with NATO that's been going on for decades. There's stuff about certain disputed regions of Ukraine. You've got
Yeah.
certain Russian speakers in Ukraine. You've got the Ukrainians in there. So it's a mess, right? We don't know. No one's
We
an
don't know the
expert
full facts,
outside of
exactly.
that.
We don't
Yeah.
know the full facts except Zelensky and Putin, really.
I support Ukraine in that respect, and I will not also turn into a raging Russophile in order to do that either. And I certainly don't support Yahtzees in that area either. And Zelensky is Jewish, and there's also a lot of people on the Christian right who are against him specifically. I wonder why. And there's also people who are anti-Semites on both sides as well who have it in for him as well. So like it's a mess, but I don't think you should therefore just present in a here's the good guy and here's what his speech is because
Yeah,
everyone agrees with that. Not everyone does,
yeah,
whether right
exactly.
or wrong. The point is you're just pandering to a specific point in history and an event that's going on that no one really is fully aware of the facts. It's just best keep off out of it. By all means, let him do his speech some other way. They can do it on the news. There's plenty of news programs to do it. Why the Oscars? It just seems weird to choose the
Yeah.
Oscars to want to do a political speech like that. And I don't think it should be political speech ceremony, frankly.
Anyway,
God bless him.
moving on.
Bless him.
Thank you, Lee, for that, for those opinions, and for everybody in the chat. We will move on. So this is Hollywood legend, but I'm kind of putting this photograph up to kind of say he looks great for 93 years old, and I love Gene Hackman anyway. I think we all do, right? Whether it's either in Superman or any other movie that he's ever
Young
done, right?
Frankenstein.
Yeah, Young Frankenstein. What was the other one? Enemy of the State with Will Smith a few years back as well. He's done some great movies and a couple of indie movies as well later on in his life. But he did retire, and the paparazzi snapped this photograph of him. But in the wider context, I want to talk about the paparazzi because they've also been taking snaps of poor Bruce Willis, and apparently his family says it confuses him because the paparazzi are shouting at him, and he gets very confused and stuff like that. So again, paparazzi for years, it's a conversation, especially in Britain. It's a conversation that's been going around for decades. Lee, what can we do about? Do the paparazzi need to be regulated in some way? Does there need to be, while there is, we do agree with freedom of speech and for the press to express that freedom of speech, but encroaching on people's privacy like these paparazzi seem to do. What can we do there to stop this from happening? Because I
I
mean,
don't know if you can. I don't know if you can. As much as I agree, it's incredibly bad taste and has caused no end of grief for people. Unfortunately, that's our fault. That's our fault as so-called consumers, right?
yeah,
We make these people famous, and we want to know all about their lives, and we keep buying these magazines, and we keep going to these websites, and we keep demanding to know more and want to know more about these godlike beings that are in celebrity status. That's on us as a culture. That's entirely down to us. It's supply and demand. If you're going to go and buy a magazine or go and click on these sites and look at pictures of Gene Hackman here, you did that. If no one did that, then the paparazzi wouldn't get the money to go. There would be no incentive for them to go and take these pictures. Unfortunately, that's the culture we've created and allowed to propagate. So that really is our fault. Because why else would they do it? They do it because there's money to be made from it. Why is there money to be made for it? Because we suckers go out
because
and
the public, yeah,
buy
because the
this shit.
public demand, and it's even worse now with the advent of social media. We've made people that obviously don't deserve the cult of celebrity, as Disaster Area has said there. Now we've got like nobodies becoming celebrities, whereas this man and others like him actually have real talent. He's a legend. I mean,
I think if you're
93,
if
he's
you're
still
out if you're
walking
out in
around. Fair
public,
play.
if you're out in public, it's fair game. I think as long as the paparazzi keep a respectful
A
distance,
distant.
especially if it's someone who's elderly or vulnerable or has some kind of with Bruce Willis has some kind of degenerative disorder, which is making him confused and afraid. that's human decency. Unfortunately, the paparazzi are not well known for their human decency, but I think if a judge or somebody can prove that a certain type of celebrity has got mental health or degenerative problems or is elderly or whatever, it should be decided in some legal framework that that person should
Yeah,
be kind of protected in some way, or like the family of Bruce Willis said, can you quite publicly and well communicated, can you not do this? So hopefully that will work by and of itself. Whether the paparazzi stick to that, that's a whole other issue. I mean, we have to remember kind of what happened with Princess Diana, what that led to. So again, but that's our fault. Again, all of this is our fault. We have to just kind of grow up a bit and go, you know what, I like this actor, I like that pop star, but I need to know, how many chocolate bars they ate one day, or what shoes they're buying, or who they might be sleeping with. I mean, does it matter? Like, they are human
yeah,
beings, but they are human beings who've also opted for that lifestyle. They want the fame, but you can't choose when you switch it on and off. You can't switch it on and off. You either have it or you don't, and everything that comes with it. So that there is that. So
yeah,
that's the life you've chosen. You can't turn that off. But if it comes to the point of harassment, there are rules and laws already in place for that kind of thing, and I think you can just turn to that and go, well, you know what, this is harassment. But I think as long as they're keeping a distance, if it's in public, it's fair. But as the family of Bruce Willis said, if it's causing him distress, then I think it's then down to us who consume these photos and
yeah.
stories to say to these publications, can you not do that, please?
Mm.
Otherwise, we're going to boycott you. As simple as that. So it's down to us, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. So the Hollywood handle here has and all the links, by the way, that I'm throwing up on screen are in the link description on this live stream. So when you go into YouTube, in the link description, all the links are there. And by the way, we are live streaming simultaneously on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Now we won't be doing the Twitter thing all the time, maybe once a month or something like that, because we actually want to get people on in watching the YouTube channel. But I thought this be a nice little bit of exposure for us. So, according to the Hollywood handle, James Gunn has revealed that they have discussed other roles for Henry Cavill to play in the new DCU. But the
How
question I
about
want to
Superman?
ask is this: is it too late? Is that, I mean, the fact of the matter is let's discuss the elephant in the room, which I don't think James Gunn necessarily gets, is that a lot of fans only see Henry as Superman, and
Yep.
it's going to be very hard for Henry, in my opinion, whether James has a great character set up for him or not, is going to be very hard for fans to console themselves with the new character because they want him so much to play Superman again. Lee, what are your thoughts? I mean, is this just propaganda trying to make James Gunn, seem like the good guy? Because, there is a bit of, clouds around the fact, well, who fired Henry Cavill? We're still trying to figure out who that is. So, some are saying, it was before James Gunn came in. Others are saying it was James Gunn. So, I mean, what do you think? Would you like to see Henry play a different character, or do you see him, like a lot of other fans do, as Superman?
He's Superman. To cast him as anything else in the DCU is asinine. It's stupid. Uh, just get him to play the older Superman. What's the problem? I mean, like, when is the DCU's confused jumble of multiple Batmans and multiple Jokers and multiple, when has that ever been a problem? Either the film is good or it's shit. It's that simple.
Thanks
He
again. That's
deserves.
3 times now. That's 3 times now. I'm counting how many times you've dropped bombs, and that's 3 now. Just letting you know.
Well,
3.
just think, fine,
3
but
now.
I don't think
I've done
it's
good
not going to
tonight.
get you struck, is it? Well,
I
yeah,
got
give
good
it
tonight.
time. Give it time. But I think I think this is. Oh, shut up. I think this is a bit of damage management, really. Too little, too late. The horse is bolted. I think Henry Cavill's going to be busy with his World of Warcraft. Well, no, what is it? Is it Warcraft?
Warhammer.
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 Warhammer. That's it.
Yeah.
Warhammer. That he's doing. Look, I mean, it's quite clear the audience have spoken. He's Superman.
Well,
There
he
is.
has called that audience. He has called out that audience and called them toxic. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not
think
good.
it's toxic. Just in case James Gunn is listening on Twitter, which I doubt very much, but I would say this to James Gunn. To call fans of Henry Cavill toxic because they're so passionate about someone who they like playing a character that they love. It is not the right move, to be quite honest with you. You could have kept Henry as Superman, as me co-host Lee has said there. It's simple. Just get him to play an older Superman. You could still do your young Superman origin story, whatever you're planning on doing. You know what I mean? But you're talking about giving fans what they want. Well, the fans have overwhelmingly spoken, and Henry is Superman. So, stop with the pride, swallow your pride, and actually bring him back because he's an asset to the DCEU who need it right now, to be quite honest with you. You're in to try and rescue all of this. So use the people that were the strongest in that universe. And Henry was one of those. Ben Affleck was one of those. There was really a good core of actors and actresses that were already there and established. And you've decided to basically wipe that all away. Well, not completely because you're keeping some characters, but you're changing some characters, and then I don't know what you're doing.
Nicholas Horton in the chat there says, and I've been saying this as well since Henry Cavill was effectively sacked, was that he would be great as the Kingdom Come version of Superman. But I think that would be a great way to culminate his arc. To have Wonder Woman and the Green Lantern and the
Why not
Flash and
do, yeah,
Batman and Superman
Injustice? Yeah, do an
older.
Injustice
Yeah.
style kind movie with Henry. Lois Lane
Well, the
gets
Kingdom,
murdered by the Joker and all of that. That would be
yeah, but
brilliant, man.
the Kingdom Come comic book series was fantastic, very cerebral, and it was a very great story, and it features these superheroes much older and Superman
Yeah.
older, and there was it was like a massive war, like a superhero supervillain, like the Secret Wars in Marvel. Is that kind of level, and that would be a great way to finish off with like a phase 3 or 4 of a DCU would be great. So I think that would make sense to me. I mean, if he was to play another character, as much as I'd hate to see that happen, I could see him as a Hal Jordan Green Lantern maybe, but it's too late for that. He's completely fundamentally linked in forever as Superman.
As
So I
Superman,
think
that's
it's a
what I mean. It's
misjudgment. Yeah.
like Christopher Reeves, like God love him, even did movies while he was doing Superman, but Superman just seemed to overshadow everything that he done. It's the same. Now it's kind of different nowadays. You're not really typecast as much, but Henry, when it comes to Superman, he's not typecast, but everybody knows that he's Superman. Like there's a long list of men who have played Superman, and he's one of those. He's on that list now, and he is our Superman. He has been our Superman since Man of Steel, and it's just such a bloody shame that the guy never got a second movie anyway in the first place. It's such a shame. But listen, I don't care if he's difficult to work with, right? I don't. At the end of the day, if this guy is difficult to work with because he wants things to be, he wants the source material to be respected. That's a guy who you work with. That's exactly who you work with because you know
That's what
they're
you want.
passionate about the project, right? Because they put everything into it. And we could see that Henry put everything into Superman. Henry is our Superman. And he's still, and it doesn't matter. You could recast Superman. Henry is our Superman, James. So do the right thing. Swallow your pride. Do all your other projects that you were doing, but bring Henry in and give him another Superman movie. As they said, perfect one there to do. So let's go. Bring it on. You will get fans tuning in and watching that, I can tell you. The tickets will fly out of the bloody cinemas, they will. I don't know though. I'm not. I'm being honest with you. Where you said like you could give the well, I don't know if you're saying you would give another if you get was given another character, you'd give it a go. For me, I would. I can't. I see him as Superman. I'm sorry, but he can't be anybody else in the DCEU as far as I'm concerned. He is Superman in that universe. Simple as that. Um, Recast it all you want. All I'll just say is this: I unless the actor is absolutely bleeding terrific. I don't know, man. See, my loyalties is to Henry. My loyalty is to
Mm.
Henry, and I feel it's too soon to see. That's me. That's my thing. To me, it's too soon to be replacing Henry as Superman. It's not his fault. He's had to wait to get a second movie or whatever, and all he's gotten is cameos in other bloody movies. I mean, loyalty. To me, it's his job as Superman is not finished. It's not done, and he deserves. In fairness to me, he deserves another pop at it. That's just me. Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll move on from Superman because we've got this to talk about now. So, as you know, Jenny Ortega has been getting out and about. She's obviously done Wednesday recently. She's going to be in the new Scream movie. And now it looks like she is coming to the Beetlejuice franchise. Yes, I can't believe I'm actually saying franchise because there is going to be a second Beetlejuice, and apparently Tim Burton is going to be coming back to direct. So that is something. Now, whether we get a good story or not now is a different matter. But apparently, she's going to be offered the role of Lydia Dietz's daughter in Beetlejuice 2. So, if anybody that doesn't know who Lydia is, Lydia was the girl who moved into the house with her parents, and she obviously could see uh, the couple, and Beetlejuice then wanted to marry her and stuff like this. So Jenny Ortega as Lydia Dietz's daughter, and I have to say I don't think there's anybody better, to be quite honest with you. But apparently, our casting, or if it does happen, so I have seen some say, well, just because she's good at her doesn't mean you have to cast her in horror stuff all the time. But I'd actually disagree with that. Jamie Lee Curtis has done very well bleeding the Hollywood bleeding Halloween franchise to pieces. Some actresses just fit in certain franchises. I have no problem with Jenny Ortega if she is being cast, but Beetlejuice 2, all I just want to say is, Lee, again, I will use Maverick as the example of you can wait a long time for a sequel, and sometimes the sequel can be better than the original, and we've seen that with Maverick. But Beetlejuice is an iconic movie in itself, Lee.
Mm.
Is this now we this has been rumored for a couple of years because remember we have spoke about this on the channel before. But is this is this the right move? It's a, as I said, iconic movie. Should they be touching Beetlejuice? Now, in fairness, Top Gun would be a cult classic to some people out there, and then Maverick was done and blew everybody away. So it can be done. But what's your thoughts on it?
Who's playing Beetlejuice?
Michael Keaton.
Oh, he is playing it.
See, this is
Well,
what I mean. Michael Keaton be back, right? The original
mm,
cast, I think they're all coming back. I'm not 100% sure on what the plot is going to be,
mm.
but
Well, I mean, if it contains the same charm, the same, I hope they don't do an over reliance on CGI and that they do more practical effects again. Because I think that's a dying art, and I think it sort of lends quite well to things actually being in camera rather than just a CGI mess. Because that's part of the charm of the original Beetlejuice movie. Um, if it's funny, if it's well done, yeah, kind of interested. I do have the same reservations as you. If it was any other time, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I would have probably been more than happy with it.
oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
current
definitely.
day, so there is that worry. Um, Look, I mean, uh, we'd have to see more. If I see a trailer and it looks good, then I'll be happy. But yeah, just have to wait and see. I mean, it's not. I mean, Beetlejuice was a thing of its time. It's a classic, yeah, but it's been out of the public consciousness for many many years. It's barely ever referenced, really. Let's be honest. Um, it could be a nice surprise. It might just be a complete train wreck. We'll have to wait and see. If it's anything like, what was it? What's the one with the witches? The Halloween
Oh yeah,
film.
Hocus Pocus too.
Hocus Pocus, yeah. If it's anything like that, and I haven't watched it to be fair, I'll say, but from all reports, it was a complete train wreck. So if it's anything along those lines, then eek. But hey, look, if it's got original cast and everyone's involved from the original, then I don't see why that couldn't work again. But things have changed. It's not the '80s anymore.
Yeah,
Sadly. Uh, so, hmm, yeah, I'll just wait
wait
and see.
and
I'm
see.
on the fence. I'm majorly on the fence. Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll wait and see for that one. I do agree. By the way, we did talk about it last week, but I'm not going to play the trailer here. But the trailer for Rise of the Pink Ladies dropped,
Oh
and
God.
let's just say it's everything that I thought it would be. It's an absolute horror show of a trailer. If you haven't seen it, because I can't play trailers on YouTube, I would go and watch it. But we will talk about it when there's more information and there's stills that I can actually show.
I think YouTube
Um,
needs to step up on this and make a call and say, look, trailers are advertisements. Okay,
and if we're
studios
giving
should be
our
grateful
opinion on
that
it,
people are paying them. Yeah,
yeah, but
look,
but but the thing about it is we're giving our opinion as well, so we're giving a commentary on it as well. There
yeah,
should be a bit of leeway there because it's not
exactly.
as if
It's
we're just
ridiculous.
showing the trailer and we're not going to discuss it. We're actually going to discuss it. But if you haven't seen it, it's everything that you would expect in today's climate of TV. Now, this show is supposed to be set back in the 1950s. So, with that mindset, right, and go into it with a 1950s mindset, not a woke 2023 mindset, right? And tell me what's wrong with the trailer. Okay, that's all I'll say. I'm not going to say anymore because nowadays you can't really open your mouth because you get into trouble, right? But it's supposed to be the 1950s. So go and watch the trailer and tell me what the problem is. Anyway, here he is. He was working a bit late. He's a bit tired as well. But I'm delighted that he is here with us to talk about the next couple of topics that we actually have, because there'll be topics that he will know, hopefully, stuff about. It's the one and only Chris from Cultivated Media. How
Hey.
I
are you?
Hi.
How are you?
I am barely awake. I will hang out for as long as I can tonight, but I'm literally barely here. How's it going,
Bless you.
guys?
We are good. We are good. We are about to
Good.
get into our next topic, and it's this one here. So, a comedy legend has been accused by uh, an upcoming actor who I actually think is a great actor, Donald Glover. He has accused Chevy Chase. He says that Chevy Chase called him the N word on set. So, whatever show they were working on together, you can see there is a photograph. I don't know what show they were working on together.
I think that looks like Community. I
So,
think.
so apparently, while they were on set, he claims, Donald, that Chevy Chase called him the N word. Um,
His career must be flagging. I don't even pay
Well,
attention to
yeah,
these stories anymore.
Donald Glover is quite renowned for hating on white people
Yeah,
constantly. He's been in a music video which was very racist against white people. It's pot kettle situation. Look, I'm not condoning the use of the M word, but when did this happen? Why did this happen? What's the context?
how long ago
Is
did
there
it
a
happen?
context? How long
and why
ago?
is it
Yeah.
only coming out now? Like, how many
Mm.
years ago was that show paid out? Because he's been in a couple of movies, Donald, since. One of my favourite movies he's actually in is The Martian. With what's his face in a uh what's his face?
Well, while you're
In
trying to figure it out, I'll just say I'm sick of the double standard. I don't even read these kind of stories anymore. I'm like, this person said a bad word 20 years ago, and now we're trying to cancel them. And you'll look at the person who's doing the canceling, and they're just vile. So it's perfectly fine in one direction, but the other direction, even if it's not true, uh, yeah, it's all just bullshit.
Well, here's one for you. We'll change the topic because I kind of knew you would think, yeah, and I'm the same ilk as well. Why is it only coming out now? I do when these stories kind of do come out as well. Well, in what context, as Lee said as well, if it was said, and
Well,
all
let's
of these
remember
things,
that.
it's his word. And remember, it's his word against the other party's word in these cases. We
let,
weren't
let's
there,
let,
so we
let's
don't know.
let's remember that Joe Rogan was they tried to cancel him for the use of the N word when he was quoting rap lyrics. There was a girl who, um, what was it? It was a story where a girl was paying tribute to a friend who committed self deletion, uh, whose favorite song was a rap song that had the N word, and she wrote that on a tweet or something, or an Instagram post or whatever, posted up the lyrics. And it had the N word in it, and then she was cancelled for that, even though it was lyrics from a song that her dead friend liked.
Sure, didn't South Park take the pig
Context is
out of it a couple of
important.
years ago? The South Park took the crap out of it years ago. Do you remember Randy was cancelled because he was on Family? What was it?
Oh yeah,
Where you the squares? What was
Wheel
it?
of
Jeopardy or
Fortune.
something? Was it Wheel of Fortune?
Wheel
Yeah,
of Fortune. Yeah.
yeah. And he said the N word, and then yeah, they took the piss out of it. But anyway, let's change the subject on something that both of you well, I know one of you probably is a fan. But Red Dwarf, apparently there was rights issues, which I never knew there was.
They were
But
suing each other, weren't
apparently,
they? Yeah.
yeah. But but apparently now it's all settled and there is future Red Dwarf on the horizon. I'll start with you first, Lee. Good news, bad news. Have you liked any of the
Well,
Red Dwarf that's come out?
Red Dwarf hasn't really been funny since season 7, I think. Well, it's been very hit and miss. I think the last one was kind of good-ish. I just think when the original team broke up, the funnier guy left. I'm sorry, but that's how I see it. It became much more science fictiony, but the comedy was not as good. So the science fictiony guy and the jokey funny guy fucked off. I think it's probably a bit too late in the day. Like, they're just too old. It's like when John Cleese said he's bringing back Fawlty Towers. Your instinct is to want to go, yay, but really you just know that at a certain point in a comedian's life, they're just not as funny as they used to be. That's how
Yeah.
I feel about Red Dwarf. I think it's kind of run its course. Look, it might be good. I'd like to see them get back together again rather than suing the crap out of each other to work on a new series. Maybe, I don't know. I just think it might just be a bit too late in the day. I don't know. I love Red Dwarf. I love Red Dwarf up until about season 7. Then it just kind of, it's not as good. It's just not as good.
Chris, are you a fan of Red Dwarf?
I am. But I'm with Lee. I think this is a terrible idea. So what they're going to have two completely different series and related media going on at the same time, made by two different people, based on a series that I love. But the series is how long ago was 1990 or no 1988? So it's a series that's like 35 years old. The actors are all basically retirement age. I'm like, what? It just sounds pointless. I think all shows have an expiration date, and if they're going to last beyond that date, you have to go all out. You don't take a show that's this old and divide it in half.
Yeah. I actually agree. And the whole faulty towers thing with John Cleese, we know why he's doing it. He's going to use it as a vehicle to get back at the wokies, and I don't actually think the show should be used in that way. To be quite honest, I know it did make its political speeches back in the day and stuff like that, but this is different. You don't use an iconic show like that. I mean, why not write something completely new with your daughter
Well,
that
to
isn't
be honest
Faulty
with you,
Towers?
if you look at the character of Basil Fawlty, that man was nearing for a heart attack as a
Will you be
character
quiet, please?
in his 40s. So I think to imagine him being in his 80s,
80s.
I just don't think that's realistic. and I think
don't
he would
know.
have stuck in a miserable marriage forever. I don't think those two would have ever divorced. They would have just rather have killed each other. And again, without Andrew Sachs, without sadly he's passed away, without what's going on?
Sorry,
without
I just
Sybil
the missus.
and
I was trying to
Polly.
sign language the missus to put the bleeding kettle on, and she didn't know what she was going into the fridge, and I had to mute myself. I was like, "No, the kettle, the kettle." And she's just randomly saying stuff to me. Go on anyway.
I just don't think it's true to the character of Fawlty.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have left. I think he would have probably died in that hotel rather than anything else. Yeah.
Well, can we say it's
weird.
Enough with the remakes. I don't care what they bring back at this point. Even the stuff that isn't woke. I'm so sick of it by this point.
Yeah.
Because nothing is ever going to live up to the original.
No.
It's just stop it. Just give us something new. Oh, so who's canceling what? Has been why should we be surprised? Who asked for this?
Seth Rogen. Yeah,
this
Seth Rogen.
swapped actor, actress, whatever. in this
Yes.
series, the same crap over and over again.
Yeah.
Enjoy going bankrupt, you fools. I was going to
So
swear there.
Seth Rogen is doing this, and Seth Rogen over the
Has been
last couple of
banker.
years has been a bit of a bonkers. He has, but apparently, yeah, he's cast Jackie Chan as a Splinter, which I do think is a good
No,
casting,
that's good casting, but
in my opinion. I'm not sure about this. This has divided a lot of people, but at the end of the day, the way I'm going to look at it is, well, if it's well written and
it
it's
won't be.
actually good, but that's the thing. Will it be well? That's the problem, because I
It
don't
won't
think
be.
Seth Rogen has had it for a very, very long time. I think the last great movie that he made, personally, in my opinion, was Pineapple Express.
And that was 2008.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I won't even give this the time of day. When you see this, you know exactly why they did it. You can't criticize it without being called names. This is a pass. Enjoy bankrupting who's ever funding this crap next. Man, I'm in a really bad mood today.
Yeah,
you're
well, you could
knackered.
be in bad humor. Everybody's entitled to be in bad humor. Don't worry about it. It's
Yeah,
all
so
good.
everybody, if you think, yeah, I'm just gonna be, I'm gonna slag off probably everything that comes up, but I'm
So,
just, I look at Twitter, I see the same things over and over again. It's like, you know what? It's nothing like all you do it is you do it to get a rise out of people. That's all they're doing it. Like that's all they're doing it for. Like just like no, go away.
right, here's another one. That's apparently he's had a bit of a backlash. I didn't know about this, so I don't know if any of you guys on the panel do. But if anybody in the chat does, let us know what the backlash apparently is supposedly supposed to be. But Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed to later this year after fan backlash, apparently. Um,
What is it? Is that can't that's not a live action movie. Uh, I
we
don't
will go
think
into
so.
the article, which is in the link description, by the way. So hopefully you will be able to see this. I hope it's come up. It has come up, hasn't it?
No,
Let me see.
you still
No, it
see your
hasn't.
Twitter.
Right. Okay. So I need to stop sharing that one, because this is how stupid this whole process actually is. Just bear with me for just 1 second, folks. We're trying to be professional on here, but StreamYard is on this Chromebook is not doing me any favors.
Well, while Noel's
Anyway,
fighting with that, I'll say something happy. I made my desktop look like Windows XP because I was feeling nostalgic. It's all blue. I like the blue.
so apparently Warner Brothers delays Suicide Squad game again to add more polish. So apparently the game is being getting a lot of stick because it looks crap.
Oh, it's a
Uh,
game, and yeah, that
yeah,
polish means garbage.
yeah. So basically, they made a crap game. They put out a trailer for it. It got a lot of backlash, and now they're going to have to try and fix it up, because no, we don't want to sign up. Jesus, I hate all this stuff from these big companies. Get away. I don't want
Mhm.
to enter my email for no crap off yous. All right. Anyway, this is the problem we've noticed in the video game industry as well, that they're getting lazy. They're getting lazy. They think that they could put out, subpar content, and think people are just going to lap it up. But people are actually speaking up again. These gaming companies, Sony, Xbox, all of these console companies, they're making a shit ton of money with the subscriptions, and then they're giving us a game that's not even complete. Remember, when you buy a game off one of these idiots, right? You have to update the game, and then every so often, then the game needs to be updated because they have to clear out all the bugs, because they don't do that nowadays. Remember the whole debacle with, what was it, that bloody game that came out that everybody was ranting and raving about, what was it, Cyberpunk,
Cyberpunk.
right? And look what happened. They rushed that game out, and it was a complete and utter mess. And even though apparently people have said it's fixed now, a lot of people
Are
didn't buy
you
that game.
Well, that one, the problem is it didn't work on older consoles, but I think it might be confusing it possibly with an even bigger disaster of Fallout 76, which is one of the biggest gaming disasters of all time. But yeah, they, they, they I can't even talk. I forget what point I was making. Leave. That's my point.
I have no idea. Look, it's not my field at all. So
Right. Well, okay. We'll move swiftly on then, guys. And actually, we'll change the mood a little bit. We'll put up something a funny headline that I see in here that I think everybody will agree with me. It kind of it reflects where we are today in society. So wait, you see this. This is actually real. Right.
Oh, I saw this.
yeah.
So is that individual a female?
Yes.
So how? No, actually, I could. Oh,
No, don't
that's
ask any.
disgusting. That is disgusting.
Don't ask any questions. So anyway, apparently she's in a relationship with a Boeing 737, a real one. But because they can never have any alone time, she's had to make do with a collection of model planes.
And they're portraying this probably as it's normal.
I've heard of budget airlines, but come on, this takes to this. For fuck's sake. Anyway.
I want to know. I want to know how the plane gave its consent.
Well, it didn't
saying.
because you don't ask for consent. I don't. It is funny. I don't have the energy to laugh, but I'm laughing inside.
It is. I mean, but this is I know. I mean, this is our society today.
Well,
All the
you
weirdos.
notice the two poses that they put this individual in.
Yeah, I know.
You have no shame. Which magazine is this?
Is she sitting on the fin?
The first one.
Yes.
No, I thought the first one is like she's rubbing the dog's head. And the second one, she's definitely straddling the plane, but where the fin, the back fin part
it's near the cockpit.
Is the question.
Let me say it again: cockpit.
So yeah,
oh dear.
I just thought that was but that's a reflection of what's happening in our society today. All the weirdos.
I want to know what her problem is with 707s and other planes
and 747s. Why are you discriminating against other airplanes?
Well, what about your old Concorde?
Ageism like that.
Ageism.
Anyway, here's something
like
that
French
I didn't. I actually don't think I put it in the feed, but we've got two more topics to talk about. Actually, I want to talk about Michael Caine and Zulu. I haven't forgotten that, even though it's not scrolling across the screen there, and this one isn't either. So we'll just put this up. So Ryan Reynolds, as you know, did a movie, Free Guy, and apparently
did he? I don't know.
He is unsure about doing a sequel. I would love it, but it's also like, does everything effing have to be a sequel? I don't know. So Ryan Reynolds is kind of debating whether he should or shouldn't do a sequel, because he's kind of like most of us. Well, does everything need to be a sequel? And that is a good question with all the stuff that is coming out of Hollywood right now, guys. I will ask you about Free Guy, if you have actually seen it, and would you like to see a sequel? And second of all, it does open up that whole question. Is the time of the sequel? Should they just leave the sequels and remakes alone and just
please? Yeah, look, I've never seen the original film, so I don't know. I like him as an actor, as a comic actor anyway. He's like the modern day Chevy Chase, funnily enough. You know, he's kind of like that for me. Haven't seen the film. Was it good?
Yeah, it was fun. It was funny. I watched it. It kind of takes the piss out of gaming and all of that other stuff. I mean, it wasn't spectacular. I mean, a lot of people did really like it. I mean, I like these other one where he goes back through time and meets his younger self. I thought that movie was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good.
That one was good. This one wasn't as funny to me, but a lot of people did like it. I mean, there you go. PD Rich says, yeah, go for it. I mean, there you go. I don't know if he's talking about your woman with the aeroplane or he's actually talking about.
do whatever you want. Just make sure you're up on all your tetanus shots and all that. If it happens to be one of them metal old models.
But yeah, I think the message here on this panel would be, enough of the sequels and enough of the remakes already.
Oh wait, but I didn't get to reiterate my opinion.
Right, well, go ahead. No problem.
I'm done.
Feck off. Anyway, right, let's get into it. Obviously, Michael Caine.
Did they cancel him now?
Well, they're trying to cancel. They're trying to cancel his movie Zulu.
Why?
I will put it up now.
Did he say something bad in 1960?
No, it's got to do with it. Apparently, it promotes right extremist views or something. Was the quote?
A load of rubbish.
I'll get it up now. I'll get it up
History creates right-wing people. Really? I mean, it's a film about an historical event. Okay, it's not entirely accurate, but it's pretty close. It happened. That's the story.
Well, it should be used as a tool to educate.
Writing history. So, according to the current accepted narrative, these things didn't happen. We're just bullshit. Evil.
So Michael Caine hits out a bull bleep suggestion. His 1964 movie Zulu incites extremism after it was included on a list by government's prevent scheme for encouraging far-right sympathies.
So would that be a far-left government or British government?
It's the mail. It's your silly British.
The woke mail.
Well, all they've done.
Same mail the same mail that promoted the Artsies back in the 1930s. Yeah, that mail.
Well, what they've guaranteed is that Michael Caine is going to have a very successful movie, because this is going to make people want to see it. Because if the left-wing wingbats hate it, then it must be good.
Right. Well,
I see the picture right there.
This.
That one right there. Are you talking about the Yes Minister?
Yeah, the prevention scheme also singled out comedies Yes Minister and The Thick of It.
Oh my God.
The 1990s
Who are these people?
Epic The Dam Busters, and even the complete works of William Shakespeare as possible red flags for extremism.
These people are your cultural enemies. These are radical Marxist elements. Listen, as far as I'm concerned right now, the trials in Hollywood, what were they called? The brain freeze. The McCarthy trials.
Are you talking about McCarthyism?
Yeah, that didn't go far enough at this point. I think they should have gone. They should have wrangled these people out sooner and more completely. They are scourge. These people have gone through everything in our culture. They've gone through every institution within our culture, within the police, the government, the local government, the devolved governments, the police, the fire, the ambulance, the NHS, the civil service, the schools, the universities, Hollywood, the everything. They're everywhere, and they're trying to deconstruct and destroy our culture from the inside. This is a campaign by radical Marxist elements who want to demoralize our culture and destroy it. They want to destroy history. They want to destroy popular culture. They want to destroy absolutely every aspect of our existence and lay the blame at us. It's sick. It's sick. I'm so tired of it. Like, anyone who supports Marxism is no different than anyone who supports National Socialism. They are two sides of the same coin. I've said this for years now. All of this socialist nonsense, They're all the same. The fascists, the Marxists, the communists, the Yazidis, all of those, they are all responsible for killing millions and millions of people en masse. Okay, anyone who supports these ideas and thinks that these are Marxism is the opposite to Yazidism, you're lied to. You're fools for thinking that. It's all the same thing. And allowing these people to run through our culture and destroy our history, destroy everything about us, is a direct campaign of demoralization.
Unfortunately, it's too late. It's far too late. They're now controlling society with fear. And if you were a person who voted for these governments to make yourself feel good, if you are a person that allowed your kids to be brainwashed, this is on you. And it's going to get ugly. There is no reversing it at this point. And unfortunately, most people are sheep. And we all know people in our regular lives who don't look into the stuff like we might. They just look at whatever's on the headlines. Oh, orange man bad, everything else. But the problem is it's now too late. These people have power. Even right now, there's a thing in with the governing body of my own country, which shall remain nameless, where it's basically been proven that a certain country over on the other side of the world basically controlled our last election. Nothing's going to be done about it. Nobody cares. It's too late. You're screwed. In my country, they've re-rigged election riotings to favor the governing party. The U.S., you're never recovering. England, you might as well be living in 1984. It's like it's frustrating because we see what's going on. We've seen what's going on for years. We knew it was going on when there was a chance to turn it around. But unfortunately, this is me being pessimistic, but it's too late. The time to stop it has passed because people are now, in my country, we're controlled by fear. You speak out against anything, your life is destroyed. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here with most people that would be around here, but for everybody else, when it comes, and it's going to come down hard, you did it to yourselves. If you voted for this, get to the front of the line. That's all I've got to say.
And they will be. They'll be the first against the wall. Like history. If you weren't so busy rewriting history, Marxists, you'd know that. You'd know that it was always the academics and the political adjutants who were the ones who that Stalin and all that lot put up against the wall first. Useful idiots. That's what you were called. It's just so shocking that these people are so convinced of their own supremacy that they have a handle on politics at the age of 20. You know, that they can dictate to everyone else. It's insane.
The problem is they've let them. They have let them.
Our generation let them.
Yeah.
Our generation did
no,
that.
it's our generation. And now, I don't have kids. I didn't brainwash kids, but I have, a lot of my friends my age do. And I have to be honest, I'm thoroughly disgusted. Mm-hmm. They allowed their kids to be completely brainwashed. And you can't even have a conversation with most people in their early 20s now. It's basically, it's a recording. Like the conditioning is horrifying.
Some, but not all.
Not all.
I'd say it's 50-50. I think a lot of people of this generation coming up are more speaking out now. But before, I think it's such an intimidating atmosphere of fear and all this that they were kind of kept silent. I think it's the same throughout history. You got the silent majority who won't speak out publicly, but when it comes down to voting on anything or saying anything in a ballot box, that's where you see the truth.
The silent majority now, though, has been completely silenced. It's like I said, you speak out in any way against what is deemed acceptable, your life is destroyed. You're living on the street. I live in a country that now supports assisted self-deletion. Because you're sad.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Anyway, let's move on before we get bogged down
Wait,
on
who
that.
got us into this discussion?
So I don't
Wait,
know.
wait, that was Noel, wasn't it?
No,
Yeah, it
no,
definitely was. Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, it was. Yeah.
there's a new Resident Evil movie
Oh
reboot in the
God.
works, and I just have to
Who
ask,
cares next?
just
No,
like
no, no.
Iron.
I have
No,
stuff to
hang
say
on,
about
Lee.
this.
No, that's not how it goes, right?
Move on.
How many? So Iron Raiden, who's on Twitter, asks, "How many times are we going to try this crap?" And I
I will say
agree.
it is not crap. Aside from that television series, which I refuse to watch because it doesn't exist. But in terms of the 7 existing movies, and I've said this time and time again, even though
You're a
you're
fan
allowed
of
to
them,
hate
aren't
them,
you?
I love them. And the most recent one, Welcome to Raccoon City, was filmed in my downtown because
Yeah.
the city I
Did you
live in.
watch that? Yeah. Did you watch it? Because I
Yeah,
was doing.
I've
Was it
watched
good?
it. I own it. I watched some of it being filmed. A friend of mine is actually an extra.
Was it good? Did you enjoy
I
it?
liked it, but everybody else hated it. I could tell, and some of the landmarks in this movie. There's an underpass that I threw up on once. They film in a place that used to be a little pub that I've been inebriated in several. I had a very interesting younger days. Um,
Mm.
it's yeah, I could tell you where every scene in that movie was shot.
I maybe should check these movies out again. I
and
remember
and
watching
it,
them
it
years
doesn't
ago
suck. It's closer to the game, but yes, some of the characters, some of the actors are not the best, but I don't care.
because
So with the sequel,
it basically sticks to the core material basically.
The new one does. The new one is based on the game, whereas the other 6 movies, which I do love, unironically, but I don't know, just guilty pleasure, but I've said that many times. But no, the Welcome to Raccoon City is based on the game, and it looks and feels like the game. And they needed a place that looked depressing and beat up and just slummy enough to double for the rundown Raccoon City. So I live in Raccoon City. Maybe that's why I'm so bitter. In fact,
Yeah.
I drove by all the filming locations on my way home today in my very tired, very bad mood.
Well, let's see if this puts you in good humor.
Is it going to be woke?
No,
Well, I'm
no,
contradicting
actually,
myself here.
it's
Okay,
not
this is
going
the
to be
only
woke.
remake I will allow because everybody's allowed one guilty pleasure, but it will probably be crap.
So apparently, the 4 hour and 11 minute extended version of Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King will be released in theaters in April.
There's an even
Now,
longer version.
uh,
Uh,
the reason why this extended version is coming out is because we have heard mumblings that they want to do a brand new Lord of the Rings franchise.
Oh,
So
they'll
I
call
think
it
this is
disaster.
so I think this is all
mm.
cynical bringing this movie out in theaters. But I have to say, at the time when these movies were being released, to everybody's shock and horror, I was not a fan of Lord of the Rings. It's only as I've gotten older that I've appreciated these movies, and I love the extended versions of all these
Mm.
movies, and they're the definitive watch. Actually, they're the only versions that I will watch. But to me, this seems all very cynical. But I haven't seen this on the big screen, so this might be the opportunity if they do release it over here in Ireland. I don't know if it's getting limited release in America only, or it's getting released all over. But guys, would you go and see this movie? Are you like me? Do you think this
I
is a
can't hold
cynical
my
move
bladder that
because
long.
they're trying to get the hype up for Lord of the Rings again after the disaster that was the Amazon version of Rings of Power?
I
Well,
wonder
but
if
then that
Amazon had something to do with it. We need more people watching this, and then maybe they'll watch our thing, which
good
would
luck.
just be a disappointment. Um, I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I think this film, the final film, was incredibly epic. Longer, wow. I mean, you can always have a bit more, can't you? It's a bit weird. It's shown on its own without the rest of the trilogy. I think that's a bit strange, but okay. Will I see it? I did see it at the cinemas. I did see all the original 3 films. Obviously, the cinema release, not the extended versions.
Yeah, of
But
course.
yeah, I mean, would I see it?
Would you go
Yeah,
and
I think
sit down?
I might if it happened. I don't know. I mean, the cinema is not very close to me. There's a new one being built down the road from me, but that's not going to happen in time.
In
I don't
fairness,
know.
the times of going to cinema to watch an hour and a half, 2 hour movie are gone. I think if a movie is really good, fans will watch a 3 4 hour movie. I think some studios are afraid to put out movies that long. I say go for it. To be quite
If
honest
there's
with you,
if there's an interval, maybe rather than like a full four
well, you
hours straight.
could you could put the movies into chapters. I with Lord of the Rings, you could easily put those movies into kind of chapters and break the movie up. You really could, but I don't know. I'd go and see it. I have to be honest, but I do think this is all cynical because there is talks of Lord of the Rings coming back now. If it's not with Peter Jackson, I have no interest whatsoever. I'm going to be honest about it. That's where I am on it. If Peter Jackson has nothing to do with this, because apparently he was snubbed for the Amazon Rings of Power. So personally speaking, if Peter Jackson is not part of this, I'm a no go on a new Lord of the Rings franchise. Where about you guys?
Oh, Chris.
Yeah, what do you think, Lee?
So what was that again? I zoned out.
Oh, you are zoned out as well. He's not even paid. Is that what happens when I talk?
I,
He's put his
I,
zone
I,
out and then just like decide
yeah,
to
you were
jump in.
talking. I was like, this guy's just going to keep
Right.
talking.
Well, anyway, what I was saying is that I believe this is a cynical move, obviously, because
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
they're trying to bring the movie, another Lord of the Rings franchise to the fore. And I'm
what is
saying
it?
if it doesn't have Peter Jackson involved, I've no
Oh
interest.
yeah.
What is your opinion?
Well, without Peter Jackson, I mean, so far he's been kept in the loop. So there is that. Where we are going to end up, it's difficult to say. If he gets more involved, there is some hope. If he gets more sort of distanced or outright ignored, like they did with the Rings of Power, then that's a big alarm bell. I think Peter Jackson is really the replacement for Christopher Tolkien, since all links to the well-being and the welfare of the estate of Tolkien has been passed to the great grandson or whatever, the grandson, who clearly is in it for the money, who allowed Rings of Power to happen. Then I think Peter Jackson's really the only sort of person alive with power and influence that can actually protect that legacy from the estate itself now. So really, if he isn't involved in some major capacity, certainly with script approval and even directing it would be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Without that level, I don't think it's going to be successful. They're already talking. I know it's New Line who did the original series, but they're already talking about making it more diverse and
yeah,
using all that language. And as soon as they start saying that, well, you just know where they're heading with that. And it's just like, I'm sorry, Middle Earth at the time, the setting is a fantasy medieval period of Europe, Britain, particularly England. And it just wasn't that diverse. I mean, you got diversity in the sense you got elves, you got
orcs.
hobbits and orcs and all these other things. Fine, You got the Numenorians. If you're going to focus on that, you can
But that's
easily
your
make those.
diversity. But that's your diversity right there, because there's different cultures.
Well,
and
the Fellowship was about bringing different cultures together. And the complaints are, well, they were all white. Well, it's because it's set in Northern Europe, in a fantasy Northern Europe. What do you expect? You know, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. It was a mythology for England because our mythology was ripped away from us by the Romans, the Normans, and the Vikings. You know, what do you want? You know, we allowed to have something. If you want a huge epic fantasy drama, do the Mahabharat, do the Anansi stories. Those are African and Indian folklore and mythology. Why not do that? You know, I would love to see those on screen. And that would be fantastic. I've always been interested in the Mahabharat. I've always been interested in the Anansi stories. I think they're fascinating. I'd love to see that in big Hollywood budget movies. But they're not doing that. Why are they not doing that? Because they're white liberals who want to virtue signal and give over white character roles and these stories to diverse groups because it's a hand-me-down. It's so patronizing. I'm tired of that. It is racist in my view. It's racialist in my view. Why not do big Hollywood blockbuster? Put your money where your mouth is. Give us these movies instead of something like Shang-Chi, which is a white Western interpretation of a Chinese character, which is strange. Why not do something about ancient Chinese mythology? You know, you had Monkey.
I loved Monkey.
Monkey was great.
Every Sunday, Channel 4 Monkey was on.
Love
Loved
that
it,
Monkey
man.
Magic.
Loved
you got
great
so
show.
much. You got so much cultural history and fantasy and folklore from all these different cultures from around the world. Yet they never touch it. They never do anything with it. Why not? Why is there no epic Mahabharat in Hollywood? Why is there no epic Anansi stories? It doesn't make sense to me. Rather than just trying to insert different cultures into what is effectively a
modern
white
day
European
politics and social ideology into all of these doesn't work.
There's no verisimilitude. There's no authenticity to it, and it takes you out of it because you know it's supposed to be set in a specific time and place. And if you're going to change that, you need to explain why you have black elves and things and so on and so forth. You can't just put it there and that's it. That's the way it's always been because it's a lie. You're lying. You're just lying to your audience, and it's demeaning and erasing the real history of Black people and the struggles that they endured during the transatlantic slave trade. You're erasing that and making it as though it never happened, which is a mistake. So I think you've got to keep to the source material. That's all anyone really wants. And you've got people who love Lord of the Rings from around the world, from all cultures, all races, all colors, whatever.
All backgrounds. Exactly.
No one has really been complaining about this until recently. Why? Not because of racism or anything. It's because of Marxism. It's because of this cultural Marxism, and people can deny it all they want. It is what it is. That is
Chris,
exactly what it is.
Sorry, Lee. Chris, have you any opinion on this potential Lord of the Rings movie franchise? Obviously, has been talked about.
You may have noticed I've changed my avatar to match my mood today. I figured the visuals should.
I actually do like that avatar. Fair play. I like that one.
Grumpy orange man.
Yeah, love it. Have you any opinion on that? Because I do want to end the stream on talking about Star Trek Picard because the 4th episode
was crap. It was garbage.
Oh, no, don't you dare.
Don't even say that yet. But have you got an opinion on this Lord of the Rings stuff, or do you want to move on to something that we know that you're enjoying right now?
Well, you just assumed my enjoyment.
Excuse me. Last week you said you were enjoying Picard, so in a week you haven't gone from enjoying it to not enjoying it. Come on.
It could have happened. Oh, Lord of the Rings. Again, give us something new. The series was a dumpster fire. This will be a dumpster fire. Why do we need more Lord of the Rings? The original 3 movies were fine.
They
I
were.
won't sit through a 4+ hour movie because my bladder won't last that long. I'll pee my pants. So I may pick it up eventually on the 4K. But I just finally picked up like the extended editions 10 years after they came out.
Yeah.
So maybe before I'm dead. That's
Okay.
your uplifting assessment on that
Fantastic.
topic.
Sorry about Chris tonight. Chris is tired and grumpy and he's had a bad week. So when he comes on, he just likes to what do we say? He likes to
Complain and bitch and
let
swear.
off a little bit of steam. But I can guarantee you that he's gonna actually enjoy the next topic of conversation, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about Star Trek and Kurtzman Trek in particular.
Get lost, Lee.
But Picard season 3 for me has been absolutely short of brilliant. It's been brilliant. I wasn't expecting what I've seen so far, and I've just watched the 4th episode, and I have to say I was blown away. And all I'm just gonna say is, if there's not a spin-off from this, and you all know who I'm talking about, who should get the spin-off. But if there isn't a spin-off from this, or maybe a couple of spin-offs from this, I don't know. But this is absolutely fascinating stuff. I have never been this intrigued with Kurtzman. Well, obviously Kurtzman's not got to do with it, but it is in the Kurtzman universe, so Kurtzman Trek, as they call it. But this is even better than Strange New Worlds, in my opinion. And I love Strange New Worlds, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of people out there that don't like it, which is fair enough. But I did actually like Strange New Worlds. And I think Picard is even a Picard season 3 is definitely an improvement. And you could see that there are definitely changes going on behind the scenes. But guys, this show, to me, keeps going from strength to strength. Lee, you said in the private chat, if I'm correct in saying, that this was the best damn damn Star Trek that I've seen in many years. I think was your not your exact quote, but that's what you said to me.
Yeah, I was, I was very, very reticent about coming into Picard after, series 1 and 2, which I just did not watch. I had no interest. I kept abreast of it from other YouTubers, awful ideas and stories and characters that were, paraded around the Star Trek, and it just didn't interest me. But then, more people said that season 3 was good, so I caved in and started with that series. And I have to say, if you haven't watched series 1 and 2, you haven't missed anything.
Just ignore it.
I haven't watched it either, and I got on board with season 3, and it's been good. Look, I still have problems with it, but the writing has been a vast improvement from anything that I've seen from Kurtzman Trek at all. This isn't Kurtzman Trek at all. It's a different beast altogether. It's very Star Trekky.
Yeah.
Captain Shaw is
he's brilliant.
Incredible.
I
wasn't sure about his character at first, but in this episode, that scene where he's talking to Picard.
At the bar. That was brilliant.
That was so intense. Beautifully performed.
Yeah.
That guy deserves an Oscar. Like, really. He was just in that one scene was just phenomenal. Really. Even Jack Crusher wasn't punchable in this, which was nice. He almost seemed to act, which was great.
I saw him and Picard sitting at the bar, and then
nice,
you see that little flashback, which I won't spoil for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, because we have to remember some people still haven't seen it. But you could understand Jack's reaction when he said to Picard, you know what I'm talking about, when he said what he said, because of what he had seen. And that was I thought that was very well done. Again, this is beautifully written. There's a lot of emotion to this.
I think this is why the acting it's also on point during this, because I think the actors now got something to actually put their teeth into, whereas perhaps in the first 2 seasons, which I still haven't watched again, there isn't really much for them to work with, or they're just phoning it in because they know it's shit. This is a lot of commitment behind the eyes and in the tone of words. There are a few issues there that I didn't like from the last episode, where Picard was told to leave the bridge. I didn't like that, but it was resolved.
That was resolved pretty
very
quickly,
quickly.
but you could understand.
And the other thing that annoyed me in this episode as well, they addressed it almost immediately, which is like, well, why are they going to the holodeck when they've shut down all the power? And then it was explained as soon as I thought that. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, the holodeck
they address
always...
it, which means they're thinking about it.
Yeah, but hang on, that was already... See, this is why I kind of hate Star Trek fans in a way. That was already explained in Voyager if people had to watch Voyager.
I never watched Voyager.
But a lot of people didn't watch Voyager. In Voyager, it was already established that the holodeck always was served by a different power. It had its own independent power system. That's why when they shut down the rest of the ship...
I like the explanation, because if it's going to be a no-win situation, people go there and pretend it's something wonderful and nice, and they can all feel like at home again or something like that, whatever, and then lights out, basically.
Do you know what I love about this episode? The best part of that episode to me was some of the scenes where, look, each scene was they were eating up the dialogue, and it was just intense. But my favorite scene is when Will does the little trick and he does something to the ship. I won't say exactly what he does, but that is just a killer move, and I was like, yeah, I love it.
That was the first.
But my absolute favorite scene though was when William Riker finally goes to Admiral Picard. You basically take the chair, walk into deep. That scene was just beautiful. Man, this is beautiful. The tone of this show is beautiful. As Lee says, there might be a few niggling issues that might come about in certain episodes, but what happens is it's very quickly, as Lee said, these writers are thinking about it. They're listening to fans and stuff, and when things are being called out, they're able to explain themselves and give an actual, answer. Whereas most people out there don't do that. Terry is very active on Twitter, the guy that has written most of the stuff behind this third season, and he's very active on Twitter. And he was on, as Chris said, he was on Type 40's live chat while they were talking about it.
Nowhere, and then we found out it was actually him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's engaging with fans. He's listening to fans, and any criticisms that actually are coming out, he's answering those critics, I have to say. Now, there are still your few naysayers out there, right, that it doesn't matter what they do. I'm even seeing the arguments that they're making, and they're actually pretty pathetic. They're not even worth bringing up, to be quite honest with you.
There was a stream I laughed at.
But it's just getting ridiculous now at this stage. People are enjoying it. I'll ask Chris now, actually.
I just wanted to say quickly. Just wanted to say quickly that for me, the stakes were really high. The intensity was there. It ran throughout the whole episode. It was very, very good. It didn't leave the Enterprise, the Titan. It was really, really, really engaging and pulled you in, and it's very claustrophobic and intense, and you feel it throughout. I was quite emotional actually through this. The only things that really sort of took me out of it. The only thing that took me out of it was the swearing, the F-bomb, and the SH1. That really jarred me, and it just felt right, especially coming from Picard.
I know, but then I agree. That is a criticism, and it is a legitimate one. I will say it is a bit weird listening to f-bombs being dropped in the Trek
From
universe.
Picard,
I'll agree
especially from
100%,
Picard.
but I kind of reconciled with it because he's older now. He's a bit more, he's had these years behind him. He's obviously, this is his last adventure. And once in his life he's gonna drop an f-bomb. And I kind of like that. It just kind of, we never heard him drop an f-bomb before, and I was kind of like, yeah, I do agree. It jarred me at first, but I've watched this. Listen, I'm watching. This is how good this show is. I've literally watched the 4 episodes, but I've watched them at least 4 times each
Oh dear.
so far. I've watched them four
I never
times
got to
each.
give my
I love this show. I
opinion. I
think
interrupted.
this is what annoys me is that there's still
They
people
just
out
had it.
there that are ranting and raving at how bad it is, and it's not. And this is the thing that I'll
Back in
say
my
to you,
corner now.
YouTube creators out there. When
No,
something is good, I'll let finish me
no.
point and Chris can get in, right? But when something is good, when these writers, these creators get it right, it is our job as fans to praise that, to show them the right path, the right direction to go in. And so far, Terry, fair play to you. You get a round of applause because that show is absolutely fantastic. And let's hope it continues to get better and better. I cannot wait to see what happens now. I'm going to shut up now and let Chris have his say on this show. So go ahead, Chris.
You're going to make me talk about something I actually like when I'm in this kind of mood.
Well, yeah, maybe it might get you out of that mood, and then maybe,
No, not happening tonight. But Star Trek Picard season 3 is trending on the
Wow.
Twitter, and it's all positive, and it's all legit, and there's no bots. I liked it very much, Noel, but yes, the swearing did make me a little bit kerfuddled because that's not very Picard like. Um, Well, yes, I finished watching this, and I'm like, damn, this is almost as good as this show gets.
mm,
It's if this were like, this should have been Star Trek: The Next Generation season 8 minus Marina Sirtis, but everybody else can come back. Uh, it. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? What am I talking about? Oh yeah, Star Trek. Um, I like the darkness. I like the fact that they actually had some character development, and I like the fact that the inter-character disputes have not been just there for the sake of, like on another show, the Star Trek Dysentery show. Whenever there's things, it usually results in yelling and crying and just terrible stuff. Here, it's like it's an actual arc, and you understand the arguments and it makes sense. And I was kind of glad that Riker and Picard kind of patched things up, and I could sort of see what they were going there. And I like the fact that they actually brought back the sort of wonder of Star Trek with the space babies. They were cute little worm things. Uh, it's so they had that. And one will say, and one criticism, which I will say is not a criticism, I think it's actually makes sense how Picard being Locutus keeps coming up. Well, here we are 30 years later, and we're still learning just how traumatic that was and what a defining moment it is. And I kind of like how that thread just kind of weaves itself through. Because keep in mind, it was like the Federation's 9/11, and you did have Captain Picard as a Borg. So I like the fact that the trauma still exists, the fact that you can tell he's still traumatized about him, and the fact that he's still hated. Cisco hates him. Captain Dr. House hates him. But I kind of like the way they did that too. What do you call himself? A jackass from San Francisco or from Chicago, whatever that was. But kind of like the way they went about it, where he goes after Captain Grumpy goes after Picard, and then he actually feels bad later, and then they kind of sort of make it up. And another scene that I really enjoyed was kind of his confrontational relation. Well, Captain Grumpy's relationship with 7 of 9, who I actually really like this season, I must say. I am quite enjoying 7.
Yeah, she's
Again,
brilliant. She reminds me of the
she's
old 7
great.
of 9, in my
but
opinion.
one of my favorite scenes, and this is like humor that would be beyond some people because they don't really get the sarcasm. But Seven's asking Captain Grumpy, so how could we tell that somebody's a changeling? He's like, well, I think you are a great leader and brilliant at your job and all this stuff. And he's like, I would never say that. I like that. I laugh.
She just, that is a great little saying, actually, because that's how
I thought
7
he would be
figures
the
out.
changeling. I was thinking maybe he's the changeling, but then he turned
Yeah.
out.
No, he's
Well,
Captain Grumpy. Well, the changeling. Well, I guess we've already given spoilers because I talked about the baby creatures. But I kind of like 7. Yeah. So when that first came up, I'm thinking, oh Christ, because we keep expecting things to derail because of the way things have gone. So for a second there, I'm like, I'm Geordie LaForge's daughter or whatever. I'm like, oh no, oh crap, here it goes. They're like, no, oh okay, I see where this is going. Bang.
She's brilliant, yeah, but that scene with that's what I mean. That whole scene with Shaw was setting up that scene. Then when that scene came up and 7 figured it out, I was like, yeah, she doesn't call me what was it? What was it? What was it? Commander Hansen or something. It was.
Yeah.
She calls me Commander 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's how she figured it out. Yeah, I do love it. See, a lot of people are overlooking all of that kind of little stuff. There's little stuff in there as well. I would say, look, at the end of the day, don't take my word for it, Chris's word for it, or Lee's word for it. The only way you'll find out if this is good or bad is actually watch it yourself. And that's what I would say to everybody out there. Just watch these things for yourself. But Chris, anything else you'd like to add about this season?
Well, I'm still kind of in shock. I'm watching this and I'm thinking, how in the hell is this even related in any way to what we've had the past 5 years? So then I'm thinking, well, were the last 2 seasons as bad as I thought they were? So I'm like, man, so then I put on an episode just halfway through last season. I'm like, oh God, oh dear Lord.
It is as bad. Yeah.
So I'm like, this is in terms of like franchises going from the lowest of crap, which would have been Picard season 2, which is the nadir of Star Trek. I think even worse than Discovery, which is saying a lot. The fact that it turned around like this over a year, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this in entertainment, where not only did the show go back, but the show is like firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And it's like you could tell it was back when you have Picard sitting in that chair and Riker sitting next to him in his other chair, and I guess his son, you just leave him in Deanna's seat because we don't want her to come back.
That was brilliant,
but it was so cool seeing that when they're there, and so they're giving their orders, and then all of a sudden it's like the old man Jake Picard we've been seeing for the past few years just disappears, and it's like, my God, he's actually Captain Picard again. So you see that Riker Picard dynamic, and the one thing we decided not to spoil, which is Riker's new move, because let's face it, Riker's insane.
That was brilliant. That was.
But yeah, so that was a classic move. And then I believe at the end they're like, "Did you just do what you did?"
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah, I just love that. I did. I love that. That was just brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, there's so many good moments.
Oh, and we didn't talk about the sort of the way they approach this too, which again, had this been on Star Trek Dysentery or the previous 2 seasons of this show, you would have had that backward, that thing that takes place 5 years ago at 10 forward. Had this been fake Trek, it would have been in there just to give us some morality lesson at the end. I'm like, see, Picard, you evil white bastard. Evil white bastards are not there to save the day. You have to rely on anybody but you, and you have to acknowledge your privilege. Or it would have been something like that. Then he would have been calling himself a loser. And we're kind of programmed to, I'm like, oh, this is going to go somewhere stupid. But then at the end, I'm like, oh, damn.
Isn't it interesting?
That is heartbreaking. That is so sad. I'm like,
isn't it interesting that we've got this now? Like, the budget's been slashed. And producers or whatever, just kind of the 20-odd producers were sort of stepped aside for this other guy to come in and save the show. And with half the budget, makes it look more cinematic than ever before.
Well, that's because they had all this money, but they didn't know what to do with it, because across the board they had a bunch of boobs, dunderheads. I don't know. I can't even. My sarcasm isn't working right now.
And we didn't have the Raffi thing to take us out of it either, so that was
no.
nice.
She's been very good
actually,
in this so
she's okay against Worf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like she's like nice I said last time
on this.
She's not as terrible an actress as she came off as in the, like, I'm not going to say she's like Oscar winner. Well, that doesn't even matter anymore. But no, I think she works well against Worf. And I like
Worf
the fact that Worf drinks tea now.
Yeah. Chamomile.
And only does beheadings on a Wednesday.
Yeah. It was something like that. Wednesday, wasn't it? Yeah. That was a funny line, though. But there is, look, there is.
And Noel, they actually gave Michael Dorn an actual award for the most times a character has been portrayed on screen in Star Trek history. It's like double it, because he's played Worf a lot.
Yeah, he's been in Deep Space Nine. I know he was obviously in TNG. I'm trying to think. I don't think he made an appearance on Voyager. But yeah,
here's my cynical grumpiness coming up. So this is what I keep expecting to happen, because I'm so downtrodden on this kind of stuff. So I keep expecting, and I'm sure a lot of people are expecting this, because we're used to, like, oh yay, it's like being lured into the candy house with the candy and the candy witch. You're like, I love the candy, and then the witch poops on your head and then kills you. No, so I keep expecting we're gonna be like, so, okay, and then all of a sudden, oh, what's this ship coming out? Oh, somebody's beaming aboard. Oh, well, it's Super Admiral Michael Burnham here to tell you that you're all bad, and she's gonna save the day with her head cocked to the side, and then she's gonna bring in her friend. I don't even remember her name anymore. The one with the hair, and the other guy, and the genderless people. I guess there's a couple of them too, and they're all going to come on, and then we're going to have a whole episode of them lecturing to Picard and Riker about their toxicity, and then they're going to say, yes, we're bad, and then they're going to be throwing out the space jet, and then it's going to end with Captain Picard and Tippy the redhead in the chair, all saying we're cool, and then it's a dream.
Wow. Okay.
Well, apparently, according to Gary from Nerderotic, who's seen I think he said he's seen the entire series, and he said it's good. So there is that.
Dave Collins said the next two episodes are supposed to be the best of the season, and it was almost episodic, which I like, where it's not like last year where you have a droning 10-hour misery session of toxicity that just never ends. But no, it was like a self-contained two-parter, these stories, because the story in itself does have a conclusion with the cute space babies, but then we've got we find out. I do have one little niggle. No, I always got a niggle because this is me and I'm miserable. But here's the thing that so spoilers. So just put your head in the toilet for a second so you don't have to hear it. So the thing that I've kind of I was thinking was a possibility, but wasn't. So again, spoiler. If you're still listening, you can't yell at me. You blame nobody but yourself. I'm saying that a lot this stream. So Captain Crazy, the crazy lady. Amanda Plummer, so she is a shapeshifter. So he knows that. Although
her hand not necessarily.
No, we see.
No, I think she's
on the
a shapeshifter. I think she is, because they're working this into it. But here's the thing where I think it could go if we're looking again, Mr. Negative Pants me. I'm like, So you have like Goop Monster, CGI Goop Monster is what we'll call them because they have no budget, so they had to go with CGI Goop Monster. I don't know if I'm sold on CGI Goop Monster yet. I have to see where that's going. I do like his voice, but I hope this isn't a like Star Wars fake out where you've got Smokey Bear or Snokey or whatever his name was,
Yeah,
Mr.
Snoke.
Fake, where you got this build up in episode 1. I'm like this big scary dude, and then in the second one you find out he's a pussy and he dies. So I'm hoping that they're going to keep this thing being scary with the scary voice and be an actual threat. So I want to see CGI booger dude. I want him to be actually scary.
I thought he was quite effective. I thought
Well,
it was
no,
really
that's why
creepy.
I don't want to see them do a Snoke with it, where they
hell
build
yeah,
this thing
yeah.
up to be like all scary, and then we get to the end and it's like
It's
I don't know
a nothing
Wesley
burger.
Crusher with a voice synthesizer or something.
No, will you stop now? You're just saying random stuff
at the
now
end of
because you're
season 2,
tired and you're pissed. Right? At the end of the
of
day,
season
people
2,
that we trust have seen this and have said it's good. So
he
we've got
was
to trust their
the surprise
judgment.
in season 2. Remember, they're like, "There's going to be a surprise cameo at season 10." And what was that? What was that surprise, Noel?
Yeah.
Oh, did you watch it? No, you didn't watch it. The surprise was Wesley.
Oh god!
Shut up, Wesley.
Exactly.
Oh.
So there we go. So the Goop Monster is going to be Wesley Crusher, and he's going to team up with Michael Burnham and Tippy the Redhead to lecture on toxic masculinity. That's how I think this is going to go, because that would just make sense.
Of course it would, but no, they're actually
subscribe to Chrisenthrop.
Anyway, we have actually covered everything tonight, so it'll be good to know, Chris, you'll be able to go to bed now and get some bloody sleep.
I can't. I have a pounding headache.
And you can sort out that pounding headache. So what we'll do is we'll do the channel shout out. So again, for everybody on Twitter, if you haven't subscribed to the Tarda Zone, please do so. And of course, the guys here will be doing their shout outs as well, and go and subscribe to everybody else that they give a shout out to as well. So we'll start with you first, Lee. Go ahead, do your social medias, and if there's any channels out there you would like to give a shout out to, go ahead.
I think everyone should follow the Chrisenthropic miserable bastard. Chris, he's obviously the best person ever.
Thanks. I hate you too.
You are.
You see what I did there?
No, you turned it around on a pinhead.
I did. Amazing. I could make anything negative. I love you too, buddy.
You bastard. Yeah, you can follow me on the Twitter. See, I did good there.
Well, it's too late. You've said B words and dropped loads of F's, so you might as well just go and
all this. I avoided that. No matter how grumpy I was, I avoided the F word, and I just found out I didn't have to.
My bad.
Yeah, you're bad.
It's just never gonna happen, is it? Look, at Twitter, the problem being, and Ordred at Ordred is my YouTube channel. Please go and subscribe to who else? Who we've got in the chat?
John Jack Rabbit.
Yeah, there's Drawing Jack Rabbit. Obviously, go and check that out. That's Jack's channel. Scottish Stavros and Friends Wrestle with Pop Culture. Go and subscribe to his channel. He's got some new stuff out. And that's it, really.
Fantastic. Chris, your turn.
I have a dead YouTube channel and a Twitter account.
Fantastic. And it's I don't even know what to say, man. Oh my god. And okay, just go and subscribe to PD. We'll put it in the bleeding chat there anyway, for everybody. Oh, I did do a Twitter poll, which I just reminded people halfway through the fucking stream to go and vote. So I will give you the result, because the question I asked: should the Oscars ban
The Oscars should
political
ban
speeches.
the damn Oscars.
Ban the Oscars. Yeah.
Well, I
Ban
mean,
the
we
Oscars.
could ban the Oscars because I think the Oscars have no relevance anymore. To be quite honest with you, that's just my personal opinion. I don't want to upset
Good man,
any
Petey.
snowflake Hollywood actor or actress out there, but you know, is are irrelevant. To be quite honest with you, you know. So just give me a second.
La, 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 la. Are we supposed to talk in the meantime or what? Any other misanthropic shit, Chris?
Yeah, everything's crap. Oh wait, oh I'm sorry. Everything's shit.
That's better.
Yeah.
Say it.
Let's see. I'm waiting for the meteor to strike. I know that's going to come. Can't come soon enough, probably. It's going to come, and then we'll all be not here anymore because we got hit by an asteroid.
Right.
And,
Oh, there is some good news that someone brought back to life a dead virus.
A
that's
zombie,
massive killer.
yeah,
A zombie,
a
right?
zombie, yeah, as if that
What
we should
could go
be messing
wrong?
around.
what, we're
Exactly.
zombies now?
So here's the question I asked on the Twitter on the YouTube poll in the chat. Should the Oscars ban all political speeches and activism at their ceremonies?
Then nobody would
92%.
show up.
92% of you said yes, and 7% of you who are absolutely ridiculous said no. So whoever you 7% are can remove yourselves from this channel, you bunch of bloody woke, bloody, I'm only messing. You are entitled to your opinion, but there you go.
No, they're not.
92% of this audience says yes, they should ban all political speeches and activism at their ceremonies, and 7% are in favor. So, okay, fair enough. Obviously, 7% that are actually subscribed to the channel, but there you go, because I know my subscribers, and that would be 100% all the way. Anyway, I might as well finish up by saying, yeah, go and subscribe to Gobby Guy, who has a stream coming up with John DeWhite on Sunday. They're serious. Why we love Doctor Who. So go and check them out. Lee has already mentioned Daniel and other people's channels there. But that's us finished now until Monday. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I just want to thank everybody in the chat for taking part. Thanks everybody to everybody that watched on Twitter as well and on Facebook. As I said, we won't be doing them on Twitter all the time. It was just another way of getting the channel out there. So if you haven't subscribed and you've liked what you've heard tonight, please do so, and subscribe to the other guys on the panel as well. We'd really appreciate all the support, and we will be back here next Friday. Of course, we've got streams all the way during the week, but we'll be back here next Friday, where we will be doing a rundown on all the latest news from Hollywood and beyond. So I'd just like to thank my two co-hosts tonight, Mr. Grumpy Chris from Cultivated Media, and of course our dear good friend, Problembeing Lee. Also,
I'm not a friend. I'm just grumpy.
Yeah, well, you're the grumpy friend. He's the Lee is the opinionated friend.
I'm an asshole,
and I'm just the mad one. Anyway, 7% could be advocates for free speech, meaning everyone is entitled to say what they want. That's true.
No, they're not.
But according to Chris, they're not. So there you go, Chris. But anyway, have a great weekend. We will talk to you soon. I hope you enjoyed tonight. We did. And we will talk to you next week. And hopefully Chris will be in better form. If not, sure, we'll just roll with the punches as we always do on this channel. Good night, folks. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Go away.
Bye.
You shall be